you want to apply for the JET program, you are in the process of writing your SOP, aren't you? And you've seen a bunch of videos and tips and stuff, and it seems like people are giving you tips but aren't being 100% real. Well, here I am. I am going to give you some tips on how your SOP should look and, you know, what the JET program is looking for. So if you want to see that, stick around for this video. Let's do it. Tip number 1 is that you don't want your essay to be a written out version of your resume, because that's boring. So I have family members that are in HR and they read a lot of resumes and it's pretty boring. Basically, making your statement of purpose your resume just in paragraph form is not the way to go. You want to do more of like a story of some sort, something that's explaining your personality, your drive, why you want to do this, and everything in a 2-page document basically. And then that leads me into my second tip, which is answer all the questions. However, don't answer them in like bullet points. Answer them organically, so as if you're telling a story. There are 4 main questions that can be found when you do the application that they're going to ask. It's pretty simple. What I did was I wrote out my answers to each of these, and then I thought of something to interweave them all together. You want to be sure to cover the main points of the questions that they're asking you in your statement of purpose. Number 3 is to evaluate your impact, your purpose. Why do they want you? They could pick thousands of people, literally thousands of people get this position, but why you? And furthermore, not what you can benefit from them, but what can they benefit from you? So everybody wants to come to Japan so they can see the beauty of the country. But what are you going to actually give Japan in return for this opportunity? In the words of Jakob, no anime. Do not put any anime on your SOP. Not even a little bit. I mean, I get it if you have like a career path tied into it, like you want to be an animator, you want to be a manga artist, or you want to be a anime manga translator. Okay, that makes sense. But if you say that you're interested in Japan because of your initial interest in anime, welcome to the club. Take a seat at the table. Literally everybody is in that boat. I think it's actually more rare to point out things that are not as obvious. So for example, anime, fortunately or unfortunately, wasn't my breakthrough into liking Japanese culture. My breakthrough into liking Japanese culture was through their music, specifically Utada Hikaru. So I really fell in love with what she was saying and how she sounded, and that is why I got interested in the rest of the stuff. So anime and culture and the other music. So I mentioned that in my statement of purpose. I didn't mention anime because, to be honest, anime didn't really influence my reasoning for wanting to come to Japan. Another reason why you don't want to use anime is because literally everyone does this. So you want to be different from others, not similar. Tip number 5 is that out of all the videos out there, all the people posting on Reddit, all the people posting on the internet that put their SOPs, their statement of purpose out there, you can do that. You can look at their stuff, but do not copy. The JET program doesn't want cookie cutter people in their program. If your statement of purpose looks like my statement of purpose, then what would be the purpose of hiring you if they already have a me? Right? Exactly. So You definitely want to use people's advice and other SOPs as inspiration, but do not pull and copy. Make it unique, make it your own thing, because that's just authentically like that's what they're looking for. They're looking for you, not anybody else. And of course that leads me into my next tip, which is be unique. JET program wants unique people. So if you have something, a trade or something that's interesting about you that maybe other people don't do, then mention that. So for example, my predecessor used to make her own clothing. That is not something that is normal in the community. I don't know too many people that make their own clothing. So mention something like that, or mention, your love for baking. If you have a love for baking that you want to share in this country somehow, like with your community, do that. Mention that. Mention something that's unique to yourself and not just, oh, I like anime and the culture's great and I want to see Tokyo. That stuff's cookie cutter. Everybody wants to do those things. Everybody likes those things. Consider what you will do after JET. And I put this so low on the list because in my opinion, I don't think it truly matters what your career path is going to be. Because for me, I knew that I've always wanted to be a teacher. I've always wanted to go in the line of teaching students, so this works for me. But there are people here who got degrees in science or things that have nothing to do with teaching children in Japan. The JET program doesn't exactly care about what your plans are post-JET program, as long as it involves spreading the word of the JET program. So, for example, I mentioned how I do YouTube and I want to share my experience and my things that I'm doing through the JET program using my YouTube channel. I also mentioned maybe if I go back to America, possibly taking all the knowledge and stuff that I know and mentoring children to want to come here as a program and switch cultures, exchange cultures. That's the biggest thing for this program, is exchanging cultures. So no matter what your career goals are in the future, as long as you are able to tie it into their purpose of like, this is what I want to do. And I'm not saying lie, but definitely like just make it mix some, make the whole purpose of this is for you to take what you've gotten from Japan and take it back to your home country. Now, whether that actually happens, that's another story. That's another video for another time. But yeah, so that is tip number 7. Tip number 8 is to proofread, and have drafts. By the time I finished my application and submitted it, I had 9 different versions of my statement of purpose. And basically the reason why that was is I did not delete anything. Anytime it got revised by someone or looked at by someone, that's a new version. I didn't delete anything because I wanted to see where my original thought process was and then where my now thought process was before I submitted everything. And so now that you've made it to this far in the video, I will be doing a segment where I read over my I'm not going to read over my essay because that's going to take too long, but I'm going to like pick out points of my essay and just show them on screen and explain why I did what I did. Do not copy, but it's here to help you. And then that leads me into one of my other tips, which is get other people to read it. Get your peers, get strangers, get family members, if you're still in college, get your professors or your career center people to check it out. As many people that can read this as possible is best, for more than one reason. They're going to pick up on grammar issues, and also they are going to pick up on whether or not it sounds intentional. They're going to be able, and hopefully you have people surrounded by you that can do this. If not, I'm sure there's people out there who are willing to look at it and give you like the cut and dry real, like, this is, girl, you need to change this. So you want that because you don't want your statement of purpose to sound robotic. You want it to sound natural. So having a lot of people have input and read your statement of purpose would be helpful so that you can get more perspective on how they see it. I also suggest reaching out to current Jets if they have the time and having them read your statement of purpose. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. I personally had 2 or 3 different current Jets look at my application and my statement of purpose before I turned it in, just to make sure I wasn't going nuts. But yeah, so that's really one of my main tips that I will give anybody, is have people read it. So yeah. So as you can see here, I didn't mention anime at all in one of the reasons of me being interested in Japanese culture. What I actually brought up was my love for the music and movies, and kind of tying it in personally to me being African American from America. It's not as easy to figure out where we're from, whereas here in Japan it's a lot easier for them to figure out what region their ancestors are from. So I made sure to put that in my beginning so that I could really grab the JET program readers' attention. I also made it a point to use very impactful language such as love and connected, because I wanted to portray a sense of that's how I feel when I actually am involved in watching movies or listening to the music, because that's how it is. The second half, or a little bit of the second half of my statement of purpose, I did mention my Japanese roommates in college and how we taught each other life lessons, even though we lived together very briefly. Here I mentioned some of the ways that I could be affected by Japan, but more importantly, how Japan could be affected by me continuing to intertwine myself in the culture. And finally, at the end of my statement of purpose, I drew in one of the reasons, or one of the things that I would take back to America if I were to go back. And this is still technically true, but it doesn't have to be any more important than just making sure that you mention that you will bring your knowledge of the JET program back to your home country, because the whole purpose of the program is to leave and go back to your home country and spread the word of the JET program. Just keep in mind that this is not my complete statement of purpose. I did take out some of the more mundane things like leadership and communication skills and stuff like that, because I didn't want to put the whole thing online. But this is just kind of like the story that I've flowed with as far as answering all their questions. So hopefully this helps. Feel free to like pause the video and read whatever you need to, and hopefully like you can make a stellar statement of purpose and you'll be here with me. So now that you've looked at my SOP, hopefully these tips are able to help you and you can start writing your perfect SOP. You need the best statement of purpose, because your statement of purpose is not only your introduction. In my opinion, it is the thing that gets you into this program. That is what they are looking at the most. So you need to be working on this. That application comes out in October, but you need to be looking at this right now. And if you need any more tips, I do have a video. I'm going to link it up above for you to check out about application tips in general. Maybe you should watch that one next. Yes, I think so. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll check you in another video. Bye!